The railway inspector arrives today, Sir Topham Hatt said.
What's a railway testicles? Percy asked.
You know, there is a crime I and pretty much every 009 modeler have committed at some point. And that is murder. We are all guilty of murder in some way against the Bachmann in-scale Percy, and we can't really help it. It's the perfect 040 chassis. Now again, truth be told, there have been plenty of times we've seen the in-scale Percy on this channel, at least in the form of a chassis, but I don't think we've ever taken the time to just talk about in-scale Percy. And that's a bit of a shame, because this is really a beautiful model. Now again, we can't really help that it's perfect for certain parts, especially if you're into 009. But I still think, as is, it's probably one of the better Percys you can buy, and today we're going to talk about that, and finally take a look at the in-scale Percy. Let's start with the... We're not going to start with the box. You've already seen the box. Look, it says Percy there on the side. Is that what you wanted to see? Is that what you wanted to know? You hooligan, you fool. It's the most traditional box I think you can get. If you've seen an in-scale Thomas box, you've seen them all, and I think I've said that in, like, every review I've ever done. So let's just move past it. All right, here we go. So, as you'll soon see, and probably can already tell, just like Toby, this is a model I've already customized. I did a little bit of work to this Percy. He's asleep, as you can see there. Yeah, just like Toby, he has a classic series face. He's been dulled down to not be so shiny and look a little bit more realistic. Let's talk about this. This is just such a nice little model, and I'm sure you can see why. So the in-scale Percy is one of the cheaper models I think you can get from this range. Maybe not the cheapest. I think Toby just edges him out at like 70, 75, where he's normally 80, maybe 90 if you overpay a little bit. So pricing-wise, he's pretty fair. And initially, believe it or not, this Percy was going to be used for a 009 project. But after some time, I kind of went against that. I mean, look at this guy. He's adorable. Again, doing this zoom in. Look at that. That is a tiny little Percy. And it's kind of that size that makes me appreciate him even more. Like, here he is next to a AA battery. That's kind of... I think the AA battery probably weighs more than Percy... Yeah, I'd say the battery weighs like maybe 2 times more than this little engine does. But for being that small, and while still being this small, they got everything you would need or expect on a Percy model. Like, the 6 looks phenomenal. The lining looks phenomenal. They've got lining there on the pistons. I think the only real criticism I have is the wheels, since, as you can see there, they're not spoked. They're kind of just all one piece. Now, I do have to say some of these parts are kind of finicky, like that whistle. I've had to re-glue it like 3 or 4 times just in the last week, and that's because when you pick it up, you know, a finger will accidentally bump it, or it's not the best built in terms of, you know, strength, if that makes any sense. Like, maybe don't buy this model and give it to a child. I'm soon to be a father, so yeah, my kid will not be messing with this one. But say you are a father, or just someone who's into in-scale modeling, or a grandfather who already has an in-scale layout. This is a model you probably want. It just looks amazing. Now, another criticism I do have to bring up are the rods. Like, look at that. That is very clearly plastic, whereas the rods themselves are silver or metal. A little bit of paint could fix that, but it's still annoying and frustrating that you have to. The coal in the bunker looks pretty decent. I added a little bit of red there on the back of his lamp to make it more clear it's a rear one. He even has little brake pipes, and again, the lamp irons. I don't think that's something the Atomics model had. It's, you know, maybe not as good as the Atomics in some regions, like, again, the wheels. But it's definitely a beautiful little model, and it's micro. Now, quick heads up, this isn't really a part of the review. If you're like me and planning to make classic series faces for, you know, Percy, or that's something that you do with these in-scale models, good fucking luck, because these faces just, they hurt. They really hurt to paint. If I remember correctly, the face size is 8mm, and doing these eyebrows, yeah, they hurt my soul. I kind of opted to get the sleeping face, or kind of like smug face almost, just so I wouldn't have to paint the eyes. This face is made by Rexecutions and printed by Thomas Tank Merch, and I do have his bracing face on the way. This is just the first one that got done, and truth be told, I kind of like it. It makes him look kind of smug. Smug little green bug. And that's just perfect for Percy. In terms of performance, I'd say he's pretty similar to Toby. You know, he's not the strongest, he doesn't have traction tires, but he's still a pretty good little model, and he runs very well. He's, if I had to go for rating, I would have to say this one's probably the higher end. Like, this is definitely a 9 out of 10. Now, I can't give it that 10 out of 10, because there are just certain details that I think Bachmann admittedly could have fixed. Like, again, Atomics could do the spoked wheels. Why can't Bachmann? And I've seen a lot of people on the internet talk about how they're not very, you know, properly scaled. They're kind of small when in comparison to other in-scale things, and I can't say that's something I've really seen myself. Like, here's Percy next to a flatbed with a missile. I don't know, that doesn't feel too out of scale to me. He looks fine. At least that's something I've never noticed, but I have read that a lot, so maybe keep that in mind. Same with Thomas, or it's more with Tom. You know what I'm trying to say. And I'm confident in saying this Percy will remain a Percy, especially if I'm making Farquhar like that's the current plan, and I just need one, you know what I'm saying? This one does not deserve to be something else. Well, that didn't work.
Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out.